That Sober Guy podcast contains adult content, merciless truth, and emotional nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm Shane Raymond. You're listening to That Sober Guy podcast, and we help people stay sober. If it's your first time listening, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here today. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at That Sober Guy podcast. We'll put all the links from today's show in the show notes, so they're very easy for you to find. Shout out to Humans Music. Always appreciate those guys. Hope you're having a great day. It's really great to be here with you today. I have a great topic. I'm really excited to talk about this today. We'll get to that in just a minute. I have two very quick announcements, and I rarely ask you to do anything in particular, I guess. But today I want to do something. It's real simple. It's free. They're both free. Free things, easy things you can do to become a part of the Sober Guy community, as well as check out our free monthly workshop. The first one, join the Victory Circle. The Victory Circle is our new Sober Guy men's community. It's 100% free. There's men from all over the country, and they're connecting, holding each other accountable, and living free from alcohol. And it'll take you less than 5 minutes to join. Just go to the link in the show notes or thatsoberguy.com, and you'll see where you can sign up. Just your email, that's it, and then you'll join the group. And it's a great place to start to find some accountability, to find some networking opportunities and connection opportunities, just being able to be around other dudes and talk and post and have fun. And I'll be offering some other great things in that group in the months to come, guest speakers, all kinds of cool stuff. So please join the Victory Circle. Love to see you in there. Also, I want you to sign up for our free monthly workshop. This month, it'll be held on November 20th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. It'll just be over Zoom, so it's really easy. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. We're actually going to be discussing today's topic of this podcast, since we're close to the holidays, and I wanted to just kind of elaborate more on that, have a Q&A session, and just basically we'll talk a little bit and then open it up for discussion. So I'd love to have you do that. You can sign up and register for the free workshop at thatsoberguy.com. And I'll also be sending out some emails in the next couple of days too. So if you're on our email list, be on the lookout for that. And by the way, a shout out to the dudes who made it last month to the workshop, man. It was a good little group in there, and we had some great discussion and just had some fun. A couple buddies I haven't seen in a while hopped in. So it was great to see those guys, and then a couple new guys that I haven't met yet that I got to meet. And we all just had a good time in there, and it was great to connect. And, you never feel bad after you leave a good meeting or a workshop or just somewhere, an event where there's people and you're around and you're talking and you're sharing. And so both the Victory Circle men's community as well as these monthly workshops are just a great place to start and do that. So once again, go to thatsoberguy.com. You can find all the info there. All right, today's topic, staying sober, spiritually grounded, physically fit, and mentally healthy during the holidays. I couldn't decide on which one or which two, so I just went with all of them because I figure they're all important over the holidays. And so it's not just about staying alcohol-free during the holidays. Obviously, that's a very big part of what we're trying to do. But at the same time, there's a lot of other elements. We still have to live life. We still have to function, and we still want to be healthy, and we still want to laugh, and we want to have fun, and we want to be around family and friends and really enjoy the holidays. It's the end of the year, so we're wrapping up a lot of things, and we're looking forward to the new year. And so we want to put ourselves in a good position to be able to do that and have fun and literally experience joy, like real joy during the holidays. And that's a really tough thing to do for a lot of people. It's financially stressful sometimes, it's time stressful, work stressful, family stressful. You have things from the past that come up sometimes if there's, if you haven't dealt with those with certain family members or friends or whatever. So it can be a really, really difficult time. And one of the easiest things to do during the holidays is to drink about it. Like, why not? I don't want to deal with this shit. Let's drink about it. And that's the easy thing. That's the easy solution to turn to. And so that's not the long-term answer though. That's not. It's maybe a short-term answer, especially if you're listening to this, maybe yourself or a loved one, you obviously are having some thoughts about, man, I'd really like to give that up and quit drinking, at least for a period of time where I can kind of get back on track and figure out if this is really beneficial to me. And I'll say it again, like I've said it many, many times. I still have yet to hear anybody say my habitual drinking habits have really improved my life. Haven't heard it yet. So where does this start? Where do we start with this? I'm going to dive right in through staying sober, that staying sober part. Understanding triggers. Understanding triggers. What does that look like? Common triggers. What could those be? Well, I mentioned family gatherings. Let's just start there. Maybe you have that one person in the family that really sets you off. Or unfortunately, there is a lot of division politically, let's say, because, Aunt Janice has a different opinion than Uncle Ron does. And they like to talk a bunch of crap to each other and get it all stirred up. And, hopefully, I've always said this too, and I've posted, some of my personal opinions and who I support and all that stuff. And, on social media and been somewhat public or open about it. But at the end of the day, relationships matter to me more than politics and just stuff that is, what's the word I'm looking for? That's very polarized, I guess. It's the hot topic and this and that. And I get it. And I'm guilty of it too. So I'm not trying to say that I'm not a part of it. At times I am, but I think being mindful of it and knowing what we're going into in those certain situations. And I'm not just talking about family stuff. Our family's pretty damn awesome. I got to say, they do a really good job about having opinions and somewhat being able to share opinions, but also knowing where to draw the line to not to make it weird, in other words, because there are differences and that's fine. We're all different in certain ways, but you have to know if that's going to be a trigger going into that. So, and even a party, right? It's the same thing. Maybe it's just maybe it's a party where there's family and friends. Maybe it is work functions, work gatherings where there's other people around that maybe it's in a restaurant or it's at a setting where there is a lot of alcohol and people are drinking, and just knowing what you're getting into and knowing what those triggers are and game planning before that is huge. So you have to know what you're going into. You have to ask yourself, do I have a good reason to be there? And then you have to ask yourself, what is my game plan going into it? And I've talked about this so many times. I feel like a broken record sometimes, but there's plenty of podcasts over the years, 10 tips to not drink during the holidays, where I kind of go into this more about having a plan. I've done it. I do it a lot around the holidays because it comes up still. It's still so relevant. And a lot of it is basic stuff, but once you know it, and you can game plan and you can set yourself up for success in versus not having a game plan. And when shit hits the fan or something goes down, you completely fold and wow out and get after it and wake up 2 days later, not knowing what the heck you did or feeling like dog crap. So the next thing too that goes with that understanding triggers and how we're staying, alcohol free through the holidays is building that support network. And the importance of staying connected to a sober community, to sober friends, to a coach, a mentor, a sponsor, to having that core group is absolutely imperative. And that's why I'll say it again, like I said in the beginning, if you sign up for the Victory Circle, our Sober Guy men's community, that is a great place to start. I'm going to be pushing this so hard to all my friends and family and listeners and people out there who want to join and have a community. I have some really good things planned coming up for this following year, and just getting people together. And so having that support network, and if it's not our men's community, the Victory Circle, if it's something else, like if it's meetings, if it's church, if it's a men's group. I had a great men's meeting, a Bible study meeting last night. It was the first time I had been able to hop on with a buddy of mine that I met recently, had invited me out to it. And it was just online, and we just hung out for an hour and went over some Ephesians in the Bible and just shared some experience and some scripture and some thoughts. And just that camaraderie, that fellowship, and being able to, to be together and to talk and to learn and to think, like critically think and use common sense and hear other people's opinions. Man, it's so, so important. And so they meet every other week, I think. And so something like that, just some sort of community is and support network is going to be absolutely imperative. So I would highly suggest that you find somewhere, something somewhere where you can get plugged into. And if you have questions or comments about that, or there's fear there, man, I totally get that. So hop in the workshop this week and we'll probably be talking about that. Another great spot to ask some questions and to get some more info. Mindfulness and practical tips. So here's a couple of tips. And like I said, I've been over these many, many times before, but they're pretty basic, but they work if you execute on them. So having alternative drinks ready. So if you're going to a function, to a holiday party, to a family member's house, work function, whatever, like set yourself up for success by having non-alcoholic beverages ready to go. If you have to bring them, yourself in a little ice chest, or you bring them in your bougie bag, however the heck you want to do it, man, put that in there. My go-to, Pellegrino, cranberry, some lime, man, excellent. I will do some NA athletic brewing occasionally too. I think I have a case of that still in my fridge. It's been in there for probably 2.5 months now, 3 months since summer, because I don't drink them often. I never drank, so much because I like the taste, even though the athletic actually does have a pretty good taste for a beer, for a non-alcoholic beer. But it's not my go-to. But I understand that works for some people sometimes as a supplement, or maybe they just want to enjoy one. They want to feel social. So you can also do coffee, man. Get some good coffee together. Try that. Bottled water, soda, whatever it is, man. And I always like to say, try to make it fun. Like try to make it something that you enjoy, that you're going to make up. Maybe that you could share with somebody else. Oh, have you tried this? I like. This is my go-to, just like I'm sharing with you, my go-to. I enjoy sharing that and letting other people know, hey, try this. Do the same thing, make up your own, and then share it with people. It's a great NA one. You're building rapport, you're building connection, you're having fun at the same time by doing that. So you have to kind of think outside of the normal robotic thinking of I'm going to have alcohol tonight. Like we're so trained like that. It's the regular normal thing, and I get it. So we have to start distancing ourselves from that and thinking differently. Practice saying no politely but firmly. This is an interesting one. And this goes for basically you're at the work function, the party, whatever it is, the holiday, get together. Hey, Shane, can I get you a shot and a beer? Which doesn't happen often, but it definitely has happened before. I just go, oh man, no thanks, man. I have whatever I'm drinking. I have coffee or whatever. Man, 9 times out of 10, nobody ever asks anything, ever. They don't go, what? You're not drinking? I'm not 16 anymore. I'm not 25 anymore. Like nobody gives me shit for not drinking. But it's also because I project strength, and not strength in an aggressive way, but strength in a confidence way. And in a polite way as well. Oh, no, thanks, man. I'm good. Like I'm not wavering in my decision in that to say no. I'm just doing it in a confident and polite way. So work on that. Practice it. What does that sound like? What are you going to do when Uncle Ron, who likes to peel him back during the holidays and tie a fat one on and get crazy, comes up and asks you, are you drinking or whatever that situation is. Or maybe it's a work function and your coworkers, they party down and they're asking you like, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? How are you going to approach that? And that goes back to having that game plan. And then the last one, man, planning an exit strategy, like know when to leave, know when it's time to go, have your ride together, be ready for that. Be ready to do the Houdini, disappear if you need to at any moment. If you start feeling like, oh man, I'm not really feeling too comfortable right here. I think I might, go have a shot, or I might lose it. I'm just feeling anxiety, anxious, any of that stuff. Like call somebody, know what to do, but have an exit plan. Have of your exit strategy together and know where you're going, how you're getting there. Plan all this out ahead of time. I just gave you 3 tips. Having a drink ready, practice saying no politely, plan your exit strategy. Those are 3 imperative, very, very simple, but very important tips that you can actively action. What do they call it in the corporate space? Here's our actionable items. Those are 3 actionable items for you right there. So practice and add your own to that too. Maybe there's a couple more that you want to add to it. Absolutely do it. Being mindful of things as well, just being able to just stop for a second and breathe, take a breath. And my favorite one, look at your feet. I've shared this many times before. If you're feeling lost, anxious, you're feeling confused, just stop for a second, take a breath, look at your feet. God's got you right where you're supposed to be in that moment. It's a very easy and simple mindful tool that you can use to exercise mindfulness and how to cope with certain moments. So that's a great one, just staying mindful of the moments. And also not just in a negative sense. I could definitely, flip that and put it in a real positive sense too. Man, life is so short. These holidays, they come around once a year. And how do you want to remember these next, couple holidays coming up? Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, 2024 into 2025. How do you want to remember those years? Do you want to remember them as being relaxed and calm and experiencing genuine joy with your family and friends and being able to just have a good time and not stress on things? I understand shit happens and there's wounds still sometimes from past things that have happened that we're still, going through. I get that. So I'm not trying to be insensitive to that by any means, but at the same time, in working through some of that stuff, if that's what you're going through, if you're going through any of that, okay, in working through that, how can you also be in a state of joy through the holidays and on a positive tip? That's so important too. How do you want to remember the 2024, 2025 holiday season as 10 years down the road, if we even do remember it at that point, right? But you want to be able to look back on all the moments in your life and go, man, I enjoyed that. That was fun. Oh man, that was really hard, but I got through it. So always trying to put this positive outlook on things and be mindful of it is, man, it's really going to help and really going to strengthen your heart, your spirit, your soul, your attitude, your attitude and gratitude, rhyming it up there. But then the personal reflection too, how has being sober made you strengthened your holiday seasons over time too? You can start to think about that, or how would it if you're new to it? For me, man, I've had so many great holidays in the last 10 years. I will say the first 1 or 2 were really hard. I got to say they were difficult, and they weren't hard in the way as oh my God, I really white knuckling it, trying not to drink. It was just more uncertainty and newness, I guess. It was totally new still. I had never done it. I remember my first Christmas, not drinking. And I remember I had to leave a couple times and go on a walk. I think we were at my in-laws' house, and they always have fun parties for the holidays, and everyone getting together, and still a lot of family and friends were drinking, then. And so I think I had called a friend of mine. I had stepped out and went on a little walk because I was just feeling anxious, And so I'm back to using those tools that we talked about earlier. I had a plan going into it, and then in the years to follow, and even up until now, man, I love the holiday. I've been playing Christmas music for the last 3 weeks now. My kids are over it already, but I mean, I love the holidays. I really do try to enjoy them. I'm not saying it's not stressful. Sometimes it is. But I think I'm learning as I continue to practice in all of this stuff, how to really be joyful in it and how to be of service and really just have a good time, sober, in an authentic way. And that's really the most important thing. So how about let's talk a little bit about, staying spiritually fit during the holidays too. I always say this, like the difference between spirituality and religion, right? Like there's a big difference there. And unfortunately, I think religion scares a lot of dudes off in the fact maybe they had a bad experience growing up. Like I grew up Catholic, very religious family. I didn't understand really growing up. I mean, I did catechism, first communion, confirmation. I did all that growing up. We went to church on Easter, Christmas, all the holidays, occasionally throughout the year. I was Catholic, I am Catholic, whatever. I was baptized, the whole family, whatever. But I strayed away from that, right? It was very that ritualistic religion. I never had a relationship with Jesus as a kid. Like even as a teenager, I didn't really understand what that was. It was just the religious factors of going to church and doing all the right things. And really this viewpoint of perfection, like you have to be perfect and you have to, follow the rules and the laws. And I'm not saying there's not moral rules and laws that you need to adhere to, being a Christian and being or just being a person who wants to be spiritually connected or whatever. But like, dude, the difference between that and like a relationship with God is so different. And so I think that's an important thing to point out. And I wish I could elaborate on that a little bit more actually right now, but there's other stuff I want to cover and I don't want to be here for 3 hours. So maybe we'll jump into that in the workshop or something this week. If anyone joins and asks questions, I'm happy to talk more about it. But what does that look like for staying spiritually fit? And there's a couple kind of practical tips for you. Daily prayer or meditation to start and end the day. Great ways. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's literally waking up when your feet hit the floor. Man, thank you so much, God, for this day today. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for my family, for my job. I'm grateful I get to go eat breakfast and go to the gym today. My legs work, my arms work, and just please guide me and show me my will. Grant me the power to carry it out. Amen. There it is. Like it doesn't even have to be that long. It could literally be a sentence or two, but you're showing gratitude. You're showing mindfulness. You're praying. You're meditating. You're sitting. Another great way to do that is journaling and from a place of gratitude. So just maybe write down the top 5-10 things that you're grateful for. I know that sounds, my mentor buddy, he would say, oh man, it sounds like you need to do a gratitude list. I'm like, oh God, another gratitude list. Give me a freaking break, man. But they work. And I'd be like, okay, and I'll do it. I'll eat the shit. Ron Burgundy there. I think was that Ron Burgundy? Okay, I'll eat the shit. Yeah. Something like that. But that's kind of how I felt like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But every time I did it, it always worked. It always helped. Oh man, yeah, I do have a lot to be grateful for. That's right. I'm over here bitching about the 2 or 3 things that are, eating my lunch every day and I'm pissed off about, but man, I have, 10 or 15 things that, man, are going awesome and that I'm so like grateful for. So a lot of that comes with perspective. And when you put it on paper, it's kind of easy to put it in perspective and easier to see. Also, attending holiday services or events that align with your beliefs. So maybe you do have a great church and that you have a great community in. Going to those events, like I know every year at Valley Church, they do the snow day. And man, it's so fun. Like they bring in, because it doesn't snow in Vacaville, right? But they bring in this company that makes a bunch of fake snow and a little sledding hill, and they light the tree and Santa's there and I think the Grinch is there, and just, man, like in the last few years, it's actually grown a lot too. So if you're in that area, Northern California area, it's a Valley Church. My buddy, Pastor Jeremy White, heads that up, and he's been on the podcast a couple times before. Just a great dude, him and his wife, April. But they do an amazing thing out there, and it's like the whole community shows up, and there's vendors and just tons of kids, snowball fights, all that stuff. That is such a great thing to be a part of. You're involved in your community. You're involved in your community. You're going out. You can meet friends there, family there. So what events do you have going on in your area? Obviously, not everybody is in Northern California, but wherever you're at, like, what do you have going on? Like, check it out. Like, look it up. Hey, holiday events in this area, and things will come up, and start to plan that stuff, and those are things that can kind of help keep you locked in, keep you in community, keep you sober, being of service, like serving your family, bringing your kids out. Those are, that's a great thing to do as well. Okay, let me just pause for 1 sec here and make sure I got a few different bullet points. I'm a little, oh yeah, I don't want to miss this one for sure. Okay, so, serving others, like that's such a big part of being in a good spiritual place. I think being sober, being a man who wants to serve not only his family and his kids, his wife, but also people, like a stranger, his church, his men's group, his work, people at his work, his coworkers. Like, that is an important thing. And what happens is when we're being of service, when we're volunteering, when we're helping those who are less fortunate, who are in need, that strengthens your spiritual fitness. It strengthens your perspective. It strengthens your gratitude. It strengthens everything. And it gives you a feeling of satisfaction, and you realize, and it's not for look at me either. Look at me, I'm helping everybody. Haha. Like, don't get it twisted. That's ridiculous. This has to be authentic. It's a genuine want and need to go be of service. And when you find that and you tap into that, I promise you, you're going to feel so fulfilled and start to realize that, man, hey, wait a minute. Everything's not about me. The whole world doesn't revolve around me. It's not all about my problems and my this and my that. We're selfish human beings. We're selfish creatures by nature. That's just the way it is. We're sinners who were brought into a world of sin, and we're selfish, and we are about us a lot of the time. We don't even know we're doing it either. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's not what I'm trying to say. You're a sinner and you're selfish. And like, we all are guilty of it at some point, to some extent. There's no getting around it. But the point is that when we recognize that, and when we admit to it, and when we see it, and then we start to think outside of self, man, that is powerful. And I can remember Buddy too. And one of the things he would always tell me, I've shared this before. If I was struggling with something, he'd always say, go help someone else. Oh man, really? All right. Yeah. Go help someone else. I'll give you an example. Well, this is kind of not an example of helping somebody else, but it's just an example. The first one that comes to mind of being of service. And it's something really simple and kind of goofy, I guess, even too. But when you go to the grocery store, you go shopping, right? You get your cart, you push it around, you fill it up, you check out, you go out to the car, you unload your groceries. You're usually in somewhat of a hurry because you're trying to get home. You got stuff to do. Do you leave the shopping cart right there? You just leave it, you park it up on the curb. I've done it before. So I'm sure you have too. Park it right there. You're in a hurry. You don't feel like walking. I want you to try taking a moment, even if you're in a hurry, take that shopping cart, push it all the way back up into the store, put it back where it goes. You know what? Like, what does that do? It resets something in your brain. I know it's crazy sounding. It's kind of dumb, right? But I'm telling you, there's things like that. That's just one example. But things like that you don't necessarily would normally not think about. It's not so much about pushing the shopping cart up. I mean, it is in a sense, but it's more about training and practice in being in a space of gratitude and being of service. That's what it's about. So the face of it is, I'm pushing this cart back all the way up there. That's stupid. Or why would I do that? That's not really what it's about. It's looking a little bit deeper and exercising. Just like you do curls because you want to get big biceps, you have to go to the gym and you have to practice and exercise those curls and other things to get your biceps big over a period of time. And you practice, your form gets better, your biceps get bigger, you get mentally, physically stronger, all that stuff, but it comes with practice and doing it. So these types of things that we can do throughout the day, throughout, the week, throughout the month of practice, of being of service, being of gratitude, all that stuff, man, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. So back to serving others real quick before we move on. We're going to get into physical fitness right now in just a second. But being of service is one of the best ways. And I just want to give one more quick example to this. Let's just say you have a little bit of anxiety. You have a family get together you're going to, there's alcohol there. You're trying to stay sober. You're trying to not argue with people if there's tensions or you just don't know if you're going to be able to do it. Whatever the case is, man, try being of service. Bring some food. Offer to help. How can I come early and help set up? Can I help with this? Can I help with that? Does anyone need rides? Just try to step outside of yourself and all the things that you have to do and try to be of service in that. And I promise you something will happen that will make you feel a little bit different when you can do that. And just for the record, that is a work in progress for me. I've gotten so much better at it over the course of 10 years, but I still don't think sometimes, and I still am selfish sometimes, and I'm still stuck in the man brain and the world brain. I'll go days sometimes without, and I always know it's usually not any more than a couple of days, but I'm like, oh yeah, I'm stuck in the world right now. I'm not spiritually connected right now because I've got this going on and that going on, and I just get locked. And then it's all about me, and then I start feeling weird. And I'm going, why am I feeling weird? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's not all about me. And this life is short, and there's something bigger. And I'm just like a little grain of sand on this massive beach. And my shit's not that really important. It's not that big of a deal. So starting to think like that and practice those thoughts and practice those actions, man, it's huge. All right, maintaining physical fitness. Let me take a quick little coffee sip here. Oh, if Jess is listening to this, she's probably so annoyed right now. Let's do it again. Oh, man. I apologize if you have a eating or a drinking thing. I know my wife does. So if she heard that or that, me swallowing the water. Oh, my God, Shane. Do you have to swallow so loud? Why do you breathe out of your mouth? You're such a mouth breather. I love her. She keeps me on my toes. It's hilarious. All right, maintaining physical fitness. The importance of routine. How sticking to a fitness schedule can provide structure during chaotic times. Let me read that again because that's really important. How sticking to a fitness schedule can provide structure during chaotic times. So huge and so correct and on point. And I know the holidays for some people, including myself in the past, I've gotten pretty good over the last few years, but before, the holidays were like a time to completely give up on self. Just literally completely give up. Like, I'm eating all this shit and I'm not going to the gym and I'm doing absolutely nothing. I'm just going to be a fat slob over the course of the next 2 months. And then, when the new year rolls around, I got my New Year's resolution. I'm getting in shape, buddy. That's usually how it was, right? You don't have to do it like that. You can, I guess, if that's what you want to do, you can do whatever the heck you want. But like, there's an alternative way to kind of still enjoy yourself and be able to eat, some holiday foods, which are fun, but not go too crazy and not have to go back to the gym in January and now make up the 2 months that you left off. And it's like 10 times harder. That's the biggest thing for me. That's probably one of the biggest motivating factors that keeps me consistently going to the gym week after week and getting walks in and exercise and skateboarding, and we'll be snowboarding this winter and just doing things that are physically challenging. It's because I continue to do them because I know if I take more than like a week off, then I have to go and it's that much harder to go back. I've been through that yo-yo thing so many times, and it's not fun. It's not fun after you make some great progress, for months, and then all of a sudden you just shit on yourself and I shoulda, and you don't go. And then now all of a sudden you got to go back and like you're 2-3 months behind. Like, I don't want to do that again. So you don't have to do that through the holidays. You can still have a good time, but maybe if it makes it easier, maybe you go to the gym 4 days a week. Maybe you cut it down every other week and you go 3 days, or, you go 2 days even, and then you walk an extra day. Like, you can make those small adjustments to your physical fitness and your diet as well. That should be just as important, which is tough too. I get it during the holidays, but you have to have some guidelines, some boundaries, and some kind of plan going into that. So back to the routine thing. What are your days? Pick those set days and try to hit those. Be able to flex and adjust if you need to. But you don't have to go spend 2 hours at the gym. I get that. We're all busy. I'm trying to get my workouts in an hour or less. If I can do them 30 minutes, 45 minutes, that's great. It's usually about an hour. And then I know how it is too. Sometimes you get caught up, chopping it up with someone. You see someone at the gym and you start talking or whatever. And so you kind of have to always try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Not guess, but account for that. Sometimes things happen in there. So point being is you don't have to plan on going and making it this huge thing. Just stay active. Stay active. Okay, that's what I'm going to leave it at. Stay active during the holidays. Walk, like even if you literally just walk during the holidays, like after dinner every night, after breakfast in the morning, on your lunch, if you got a lunch break and you work in an office or something, or wherever you work and you have a break, go walk for 30 minutes. Like stay active, stay on a routine. And walking is one of the best ways, especially too, if you can get on an incline. I love doing that. Getting on an incline, the treadmill, putting it super high and just getting after it. Man, I sweat like crazy. I need to get a good one of those in too. Actually, it's been a minute on that because I'm usually lifting weights or doing some other cardio stuff. But that's one of my favorites, is just getting on and getting after it. You burn so many calories. It's easy on your knees, easy on your body. And it's really a great way to stay focused and fit and active. All right, let's talk about the eating a little. Well, let me go back to that real quick. There was one thing I wanted to. Well, okay, we'll wait on that. Holiday eating tips for making mindful choices without depriving yourself. So just focusing on whole foods. Trying to eat like good meals, some protein, some veggies, don't eat too much bread like I do. Man, I'm a sucker for bread and sugar too, man. Like pumpkin pie. Ugh, Costco, $5.99 pumpkin pies. Are you kidding me? Oh, it's a tough one in the holidays. I get it, man. But I think one thing that kind of keeps me in check, it's not that I don't want to eat the stuff or that I don't eat it sometimes. It's that I hate feeling like shit afterwards, after I eat too much, if I overeat or if I eat too much pie or I eat, something. So I'm pretty good about that during the day. It's usually nighttime that I'll kind of struggle a little bit because it's like, I know I'm not working out. I'm kind of chilling now. My day's done. And it's like, oh, okay, let's eat. And man, I'm going to have some pie, right? Or afterwards. But I just got to try to not do it every night, which is tough during the holidays, especially. Like I get it. But also drinking a ton of water. So let's kind of go into that too, because that'll help with the food thing. If you're staying hydrated, you're drinking a lot of water, and trying to avoid excess sugar, like extra sugar. We're obviously going to get some sugar here and there, but eating a lot of it, that's another tough one during the holidays. But I think it's okay in moderation. It's okay in moderation. Have a plan. Don't go too crazy on it. Don't do it every day, maybe every other day if you really like pie like I do. But I think I've gotten to the point right now where it's like I literally work out just so I can eat whatever I want in a sense. And I'm really working on changing that. I'd like to change that. It's one of the things I'm, like on my thing. My dog's like going crazy. What are you doing, Sonny? What are you doing? Probably wants to go out, huh? Do you need to go out? Or are you good? Sonny boy. Get a dog. That's a good idea too. A golden retriever. He's freaking cool. He's a cool dog. They definitely give you some peace and joy. That's for sure. All right, let's move on. We did eating, rest and recovery. Yeah, just the importance of sleep and your mental health and physical recovery. Sonny, go. Someone nudging me right now. You're interrupting my important podcast, man. Oh, yeah? Okay, I'm gonna have to go let this guy out real quick. Hold on. So I think I was saying the importance of sleep and downtime, maintaining physical and mental health. Sleep is going to help you kind of regulate on both of those. And, if you can get 8 hours of sleep, I know that's the recommended amount, but even 7, 6, 7, and you start getting anything below that, it could be a little bit difficult. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. We're going to move on. Had a question from Kevin. So Kevin, what's up, man? I appreciate you reaching out. Kevin hit me up on Instagram. I think it was today actually. And, he was asking about supplements and being sore. And so I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh man, it's just such a great question, especially as we get into our 40s, 30s, 40s, your body starts to change. And so I said, hey man, instead of responding here, let me read this on the podcast. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. Kevin said, hey, what are you doing for supplements with working out? I told you before, I work out almost daily, but I'm constantly sore and in pain. Ankles are always tight, calves, hips, wrists, and my neck and shoulders have hurt 24/7 for years now. I take creatine and whey protein plus a daily multivitamin, but I want to look into it, anti-inflammation, recovery. So, and we're about the same age. So he's just kind of asking like, is that normal? Why am I sore all the time? And number one, I'm not a doctor or a sports professional. What do they call it? A physical therapist, or really, I'm a novice in even lifting and fitness and all that stuff, but I think I know enough from my personal experience and from talking to other people. And I would recommend actually for Kevin or anyone else out there listening, I'll probably have both of these guys at some point come speak in the men's community, because we will have some guest speakers in there over the course of the next few months. But either Joel Staley, fitness coach Joel Staley, he's been on the podcast a couple of times, great dude. Or my buddy Trent Williamson, who's also been on the podcast a couple of times. And those are both great dudes. You can go back and search their episodes if you want to hear more about their fitness tips and goals and that kind of stuff. Those would be great dudes to check out. But in my experience, the first thing I thought of actually too, Kevin, when I read this was like, what is your warm up and your cool down routine? One of the things that I learned actually from Coach Trent and from Coach Noel, who was at our CrossFit gym a few years back when Jess and I were doing CrossFit, was the importance, like how important it is to warm up, and then not just to warm up, but to cool down. So like, do you use a roller? Do you roll out regularly? That could be a big part of soreness and tightness and aches and pains. Like, it was so crazy. I remember one day, I think I was working with Noel after a CrossFit session, and my knee was just like, it was just killing me. And it was just a weird feeling. It wasn't like I twisted it or I did anything like weird to it. I mean, I worked out hard that day. But I think it was over the course of a few days, it had just been just really bothering me. And he goes, well, what's the deal? He kind of like asking me where the pain was, and he had me roll out all the way up like my hip flexor and my hip area on the side of my leg. And we did some foam roller and some, the 45-pound, what's it called? The barbell. We did some of these different drills and stuff. And man, it hurt like crazy, but it freaking helped. And so the point is, like I said, you can tell I'm not an expert on this stuff, but the point is that different points in our body, they hurt, and they're connected to other points in our body that maybe we're not thinking about. So just going back to this, the simplicity of stretching, warming up, cooling down, the rollouts afterwards are huge. I didn't do it today. Actually, I did deadlifts today. I didn't roll out because I just didn't have time. I was running a little bit late, but I try to do them at almost every workout, even if it's for 5 minutes. And depending on how I'm feeling, sometimes I'll roll out before, sometimes I'll roll out after, sometimes I'll roll out both, just depending on what that day looks like. But if you can do that, and like, man, it's huge. It increases blood flow. You can get quads, hamstrings, calves, Your back, like my back is a big one. My lower back, I'm constantly rolling that thing out. My shoulders, it's really, really good. It makes it just, it breaks up some of that tissue in there. There's a lot of, there could be scar tissue. There could be just tension, muscle tension. A lot of that stuff is what it could be from. I'm not saying it is. Maybe you do all that anyways. And so everything I just said doesn't mean jack crap, but that was the first thing I thought of. But nutrition, obviously another thing I thought of. You already had mentioned, Kevin, that you take creatine, which is like a proven source. Like I take creatine. I use ON, by the way, Optimum Nutrition. I've been using them for years. I have experimented and used different brands and stuff, but I do their whey protein. I use their creatine. I was using their advanced pre-workout for a long time. I haven't been doing that the last 2 months because I've just been drinking coffee. It's starting to get expensive too, between like the vitamins and the protein. And you start one day, beta alanine. I was like adding that in there. And then it's like, man, this is a lot. So let me just get back to the basics. And, we'll just kind of, sorry, I was looking at the clock there. Don't apologize. It's a sign of weakness. What is my schedule today? Okay, cool. Ooh, I had to look. I thought I was late for a meeting there. Okay. So, what the hell was I saying now? Dang it. Lost my train of thought. Pre-workout. Oh, we were talking about supplements and stuff. Yeah. ON, that's the supplements I use. Good stuff. Definitely works. The creatine. So creatine is known to help for recovery, for soreness. I've been using it for a long time, especially as we get older in age. It can help rebuild all those muscle breakdowns. Obviously the whey protein, the multivitamin, all that stuff. It sounds like you do, the right stuff. And then diet, high protein, aiming for 20 to 40 grams of good protein, especially doing that after the workouts to rebuild those muscle fibers and damaged, areas that happen during the workouts, all that stuff, man. Even carbs are important, but healthy carbs. I feel like I mentioned the bread earlier, like that. You think carbs, you automatically think bread. Like that's not what I'm talking about. You do sweet potatoes, brown rice, even white rice. I know that it's not like people don't love that. I still like white rice personally, but what else? Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids like fish, walnuts, nuts, all those types of things have an impact on recovery, on muscle growth, muscle health, all that. So nutrition definitely is such an important part. And I'll be honest, the hardest part for me, like I mentioned earlier, I can get my ass to the gym 4 or 5, sometimes 6 days a week, or at least be doing something active. But the eating I'd be so, if I ate like perfect, but that's so boring to me too. Like who just wants to eat chicken and broccoli all day? Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a trade-off. There's got to be some balance in there where you can kind of flex. And I think there is. It's just about what works for you, your body type, your body makeup, all that. Last thing, man, I know this is pretty basic. I wish I had a better, stronger answer for you, Kevin, and for those else out there listening who are interested in this topic. But just, I think it's basic stuff. It's like rolling out nutrition, your cool down rollouts, your stretching, taking care of your body, and then hydration too, drinking a ton of water. It's so important. I learned when I had the kidney stone a few months back from the urologist, he just schooled me on how important water is. Like I was thinking all these things. Well, I don't want to get another kidney stone and this and that. And we're talking, was it from working out and supplements? And he's like, bro, no, like just drink water, drink a ton of it. It exaggerate. What is that word? How do you say that? Exaggerate. I was just reading this. Dehydration can exacerbate, that's right, soreness and hinder recovery. So make sure to stay hydrated throughout the day. And then electrolytes too, sodium, potassium, magnesium. They're very key to muscle function. So if you add like some electrolytes in, I know my wife got me on Relight. That was a really, really big one that you might want to try. Just get a little container of that. I think it's like $30, $35 or something. And you put a scoop in your water. I like the lemon lime. And that thing, you just sip on it all day if you want. And you got all your electrolytes, your magnesium, all that stuff is in there. And that may be something you can look into to help too. So Kevin, thanks for the question, man. I hope that helps out a little bit. I'll see you in the victory circle, because I know you're up in there. So I appreciate you being a part of that. And we'll talk more about fitness stuff in the workshop this week too. All right, last segment here, and then we're going to wrap up today. When we're talking about staying sober, spiritually grounded, physically fit, mentally healthy during the holidays. So let's talk about nurturing mental health before we wrap up today. Stress and anxiety. So how do we start to recognize that when it pops up? And there's a couple things that I like to do. Number one, I already mentioned looking at my feet, right? That's a little tool, a little tip. Like I start to feel out of place. I'm feeling uncomfortable. Let me take a breath. Let me just look down. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. There's also times when I can feel some stress or anxiety, or maybe it's even social anxiety. Like if I'm in a group of people and maybe I don't know everyone, or maybe you just are feeling an off day and like everyone's talking and you just kind of feel, I don't know, it's just, you just feel weird sometimes. Like what I've been doing these days that's very helpful is I will sit there for a second and pause and go, oh yeah, I'm here to be of service. And that really helps to reset my brain. So I immediately get out of my own self. I don't talk about myself. Now I'm asking questions. Now I'm listening. I'm being an active listener, right? And that really can help lower the stress level. There's no pressure. I'm just here to serve you. I'm just here to listen to you. I'm just here to hang out. And so you can manage those things with a couple tips like that. In just being able to sit and breathe too, just breath, like follow your breath, a big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Setting boundaries is huge. So how do we work on saying no? We talked a little bit about that earlier, but being confident, saying no with strength, but being polite at the same time with confidence, that's huge. And then having boundaries, like with work, with family, like you have to have set and very clear boundaries on what you're willing to partake in, where you're willing to go, what you're willing to do, all of that stuff. Like what is that? What does that look like for you? The boundary thing is huge, especially when it comes to family, in certain circumstances around the holidays. That can be tough for a lot of people. And, you have to game plan and think about that ahead of time and be prepared. Also self-compassion. Like, man, this is such a big one. Let's just say the word grace. How about that? Like having grace on yourself. We're so hard on ourselves. Like I know I'm my own worst enemy. There's nobody harder on me than me. And, even if you feel like you didn't win, you didn't complete the task, you fell short in an area, like, man, just have grace on yourself. Like be at ease just where you are. I'm at ease just where I am. Like right now in this moment, like, it's okay. I'm going to try again, or it's okay. I did the best I could, or it's okay, man. I really messed up, but you know what? God has grace on me. And that was a gift, the gift of grace, so we start to learn and start to think about what that is and experience it. And once we learn to give grace to ourselves, now we can give grace to others, which is really, really tough to do for a lot of people. If you don't have grace on yourself, it's actually nearly impossible. There's a couple of things I started thinking about when I started thinking of grace. I wanted to share real quick too. 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. That is so, so powerful. I want to read it one more time. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. So we go through things in life and we hurt and we have challenges and we mess up and we sin and we make mistakes and we do all that stuff, but it's not in vain. It doesn't have to be in vain if we learn from that stuff, and we can learn to counter those mistakes and counter those challenges and deal with them and battle back against them and learn from them and change course, right? Do something different the next time. And God gives us grace in all of that. It's not an excuse to sin or an excuse to be an idiot or an excuse to continue being a drunkard and doing all that. That's not what it's there. But you get to a point, and I guess I have a great example of this in my own experience, is like I struggled with alcohol and drugs for 17 years, and I was able to quit by the grace of God. And I have turned my life around and then started a podcast where now I can take what was my weakness and I can share it with others now, and I can help them. And that's as simple as it is. And in doing so, we find that not only do we help other people, but we help ourselves. We feel fulfilled now because we're out of self. We're out of selfishness. We're serving others. And that is huge. Wanted to read one more too, Ephesians 2, 8 through 9. For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not of your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. So what does that even mean, right? I'm not sure I have digested all of that. I'm sure there's lots of different takes on it, but I do know one thing here. Grace is a gift from God. It's not earned. We don't do it by doing more. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to pray more. I need to give more. I need to serve more. I need to go to all the functions more. I need to be the best. I need to be perfect. That's not what God's asking for. Now, is all that stuff bad? No. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff there if you do it from the right place and you're of service and you give. And I'm not saying we don't want to do that stuff, but doing more and doing that stuff and doing all the things and being the person and being the perfect, you don't earn God's grace. You don't earn God's love. You're not saved and by doing more. And that scripture completes that right there and proves that this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. You've been saved, for by grace you have been saved through faith. And so, man, I just think that's a really, really important one to point out, because back to the thing I talked about earlier about the difference between religion and spirituality, I think a lot of people get caught in the religious thing. It's like, I have to go do, and I got to do the things and the rituals, and I need to do this and do that and show up here. We do that stuff. We get it. But that's not there's not a leaderboard where you're scoring more points on the leaderboard for the more stuff that you do. And, when we understand that the gift of grace is literally that, a gift, and all we have to do is accept it, man, it can totally change something. And it's very, very, very powerful. So the next one, maintaining perspective. We're going to wrap up here in just a minute. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. Helping people focus on what's truly important during the holidays. And that can start with yourself, right? And then maybe you're able to put this together and you're able to focus on joy and peace and connecting with family and friends and taking care of self, all that stuff. And then maybe you're able to talk to someone who's having a hard time, who hasn't, had the tools and the resources and community and stuff to work on some of the stuff that maybe you have. Now you're in a position where you're able to listen and help and be of service and all that. So it's just this never ending wheel and it domino effect. I don't know what a good example is, but it works, and it works. When you maintain a positive perspective, when you maintain, self-care and self-love, and you're easy on yourself, you're giving yourself grace, you're enjoying your time. And man, through all of it all, you're staying sober. You're not changing anything about yourself. You don't have to escape. You don't have to practice that art of escapism to enjoy the holiday season, to enjoy it with family and friends. Even when there's difficult times, you can figure out how to navigate those from a healthy place versus from a drunk, annoying, I don't give a crap, I don't give a F type of attitude. So yeah, I think that's it, man. I think there had a couple more things, but I think we're just going to wrap up today. That was an hour. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I hope these tips helped add some perspective to your upcoming holiday season. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. We have lots of resources at thatsoberguy.com. And there's all kinds of other resources out there too, as well, between podcasts and all kinds of good stuff. So be sure to check those out. I hope something spoke to you today. Share the podcast with a friend. I would love that. Join the Victory Circle, please, our free Sober Guy men's community. And then also check out the workshop on the 20th. It's every month, so you can sign up for that as well. You can do all that at thatsoberguy.com. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. Until next time, keep your blood clean.